I'm gonna do a big surprise here and take us to the ACC. Uh, I I think Miami can beat Clemson. Now, I wouldn't bet on them beating Clemson twice, which is probably what you need to do to win the ACC championship. But it's a late season, regular season game. If they had to play, two times within a couple weeks, I think that the Clemson Tigers would have a very difficult time, especially having the entire season to get in, to get settled. I think that most importantly, it's going to be defensively, where you've got a whole lot of transfers on the front part of the defense that are trying to mesh with, your very, very super talented dudes like, Leonard Taylor and Jafari Harvey up on the defensive line. Obviously, we've mentioned James Williams' name a lot at safety. He is an all ACC caliber player. And I just think that the raw talent, the offensive ceiling that Tyler Van Dyke gives you, along with some of the playmakers that you have, I want to see what Jalen Knighton looks like within Josh Gaddis' system. I think that while it is very easy to say Miami is a contender for the ACC championship because I believe they are the best team in the Coastal, I don't think that that's a dark horse candidate. But I think that Miami, with a win against Clemson and potentially an ACC championship win against Clemson, would make itself in the conversation for a college football playoff, would make itself in the conversation for being a top 5, top 10 team. And I just don't think that's where they're at right now. As I've continued to dive deep on this, the idea that Mario Cristobal is going to be able to land and hit the button and be able to raise this level to the point where Miami is making national noise beyond just being the U is back, the internet fans are going crazy. I really like what he's done through the portal and the way the depth chart lines up. I think that when they take the field against Clemson, we'll know obviously what Clemson has done at the quarterback position. But if you ask me to take right now the option of Tyler Van Dyke versus DJU/Cade, I wouldn't have a strong argument for TVD, but I do think that he at least does seem to be the more proven option among those three quarterbacks. So I think that Miami is on my dark horse list solely because of where they stack up next to Clemson, where I think that if they played twice, Miami could get one of them.
Can we stay in the same division?
Sure.
Pitt.
Yeah, you've been on Pitt. I've noticed that.
I'm not saying conversations. I'm not picking Pitt to win, but just try to think of situations. I agree. Miami has a ceiling that Pitt doesn't have. I think Chip nailed it. If everything clicks, Miami could be the best team in the ACC. I think Chip, 100%. What if they don't click?
Oh, yeah. It's Miami.
Right. What if Clemson's offense doesn't really come together? Pitt returns entire offensive line, entire defensive line, entire secondary. We've seen Pat Narduzzi style teams do pretty okay with that. I'm a little concerned they go back to kind of, caveman ball where they try to run the ball all the time and it's just not efficient enough. They play too many close games and they lose a couple too many of them. But man, that's a lot of experienced guys. That defense is going to be too much for a lot of the opposing offenses they play. Their schedule's friendly. They don't get Clemson. I don't think they get NC State either. I think it's Louisville and Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Louisville Pitt is the most interesting game as I'm trying to do. I'm writing ACC win totals right now for CBSSports.com. Story's going to go live on Thursday. And we do it not with just a bet, but you actually have to list the result of every single game. So you can't do that thing that some analysts do and just take the over to make everybody happy for all 14 teams. You actually have to say no, this total is here because this game breaks this way. And the Louisville Pitt game is going to probably decide both Louisville and Pitt's win totals. And I think that game could be kind of spicy, which, to Bud's point earlier, means I'm probably in with you on being a little bit high on the cards. But the running back, if they go back to caveman ball, I wonder if the running back room with Vincent Davis and Izzy and the rest of that group, I wonder if those are players that are ready to carry the load, because when Pitt won the ACC Coastal Division and for the first time and made it to the ACC championship game, they had 2 1,000-yard rushers, and they had an offensive line that was able to pave the way. They went 6-2 in conference play, bounced back from a slow start, just kind of got hot running the football. I thought that those running backs were at a different level, but I clearly could be proven wrong, as they've also got the new offensive coordinator in Frank Signetti. So I team.
Before we let Tom go to the Big Ten, because I know he's itching for another Big Ten team, can I stay in the division?
Yeah.
Wow.
I got a team.
Everybody in the ACC is a dark horse this year.
It pretty much is. I think that speaks to the state of the conference right now because everybody's sleeping on all of them. I might be biased because I talked to Mac Brown this morning, but I was looking at, so I think trendy picks in the ACC are NC State. Devin Leary's been all the talk, and deservedly so. Miami, you just brought up. I think they're a trendy pick. I'm looking at win totals. NC State's is 8.5. Miami's is 8.5. North Carolina's is 7.5. I think North Carolina has more wins than NC State or Miami at the end of the year.
Ooh. Okay.
So I think Sam Howell was good. I think his 5th round draft stock, where he actually went, kind of was a more realistic version of Sam Howell. I think he had his limitations. I think he was a really good college quarterback, but I don't think the loss of Sam Howell is going to be as dramatic as we make it. I think there'll be a better team around him. Whatever quarterback wins the job, whether it's Jacoby Criswell or Drake May, I think both of them might be just as talented as Sam Howell was. He's going to have a great receiver to throw to, and Josh Downs. You got a national championship winning coach now helming the defense, and Gene Chizik. But most importantly, look at the recruiting rankings. Mac Brown has done a pretty good job assembling talent year in and year out for the Tar Heels. And I think this team will have what they need, because last year everyone was telling them how good they were. I think this team needs a little edge to them. And I think maybe they have that edge this offseason, coming a little bit irritated. So I'm going to say North Carolina, my dark horse from the ACC.
I wanted to. Sorry, Tom, do you want to weigh on that before we go Big Ten?
How many more ACC teams are you guys going to list?
I mean, I
Duke has a new head coach. I'm just kidding.
Now, my remaining teams, I've got 2 Pac-12s, a Big Ten, and an AAC left. So there's no more ACC teams. I'm all tapped out there. I will say my North Carolina pushback is that the offensive line was supposed to be awesome last year because they were bringing back everybody. They got all their starters back, and then they weren't all that good. And defensively is where we've got a lot of those blue chips. And I would say that, development of those blue chips into Power 5 level stars, still kind of waiting on that. Can Gene Chizik unlock Des Evans? Can Gene Chizik unlock some of those big recruiting wins on the defensive side of the ball? If it happens, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. But those are sort of my questions: is being able to convert those highly rated recruits into stars at the ACC level.
I have positive belief in the offense. But my 2 main questions with North Carolina are, one, is your strength program any good? Because I look at like late stage Texas under Mac Brown, and I felt like those guys were soft. And I thought Carolina got pushed around too often last year. And I'm willing to write that off and go back in on them with the end of this year, to them being too young last year. But they did look soft. Like they got physically bullied by teams that shouldn't be doing that. The other question is, it is. All right.
Argyle.
The other question I have,
The intimidating Carolina Blue.
was it the D coordinator or was it the DB coaching? Because I think there was a lot of finger pointing going on in that room last year, and they made a change at D coordinator, right? I think there was disagreements on how things should be run by that coaching staff. So we'll see if the new DC can work with the existing assistant coaches there. I'm very, very curious to see how that plays out in Chapel Hill.